I'm on the beautiful island of Crete at the latest amateur chess organisation event, the World Seniors Amateur Championship for over 50s. It's a wonderful location, beautiful hotel, great food, great weather, great community of players here. And I should mention, if you're interested in playing in the next ACO events, they take place in May, 2 separate tournaments, a World Amateur Championship for all ages and a Super Seniors tournament for over 65s. You can see details on the ACO website. I'll put the link down below. So at these events, there are 3 Grandmaster coaches: Zigordas Lanka from Latvia, Spiridon Skembris from Greece, and myself. And we each nominated a Best Game prize. And, well, I'd like to show you my nomination. I should stress these games are played by amateurs, so we're not demanding perfection. But it's all about the spirit in which they're played. So the winner of this game and the winner of the special prize is Frank Schroeder from Germany. And he played this game on his 60th birthday. So he gave himself a very special present. I'd also like to add that his opponent, Mike Wiltshire, was very sporting and happily analysed the game afterwards. So yeah, here we go. Let's take a look at this game. Mike started with d4 and f5 from Frank. So the Dutch, that is already shows his aggressive intent. And e3, so a modest start from Mike. Just developing his kingside unpretentiously, and Frank has put his bishop on the long diagonal. As we're going to see, watch out for that bishop. It plays a very special role in this game. And normal development so far, at least from black. I mean, I find these bishop moves a little bit too modest somehow. Knight g5. Okay, well, maybe Mike is a wolf in sheep's clothing, because now he launches forward and attacks the pawn on e6. But of course, that can be defended very easily. But he's setting a little trap, so he's perhaps hoping that black is going to play h6, but then bishop h5 is a deadly check. So Frank decided to deal with this a-pawn and just blocked it with a5. Now bishop c4. So the pawn on e6 is attacked, and that provokes d5, and the bishop drops back. So that does mean that perhaps white might be able to use that e5 square a little bit later. Now, knight g4. Wow. This is the start of the assault. So the queen threatens the knight on g5, which goes back to h3. I mean, I think if white wants to kind of, block things up, then f4 is possible here. But the knight came back to h3. So it means that this is threatened. h5. Oh, yeah. Very aggressive. But is it any good? Let's see. Knight f4. So the knight spins around looking at the g6 square. Queen h4, threatening mate in 1. Well, that's not strictly necessary, but Frank, he can't contain himself. Queen h4. So h3 defends and also attacks the knight. Whether it's good to take that is well, not much of a question really. So now black has to take care of the g6 square and the e6 pawn. So rook h6, there we are. So Frank is being very creative here. Of course, if that knight is taken, then the h file opens, which is decidedly unpleasant for white. So g3. Attacking the queen, which just nudges back to g5. Okay, so Frank is really going for it on the king side. Question is, how do you play as white? So I think I'm going to have a little drink of my nice cool glass of water. White play, what would you do? Well, Mike played a very brave move. He took the knight. Now that the queen has come back, well, he felt that he could defend against the attack and come away with an extra piece. When we were looking at this game afterwards, I was analysing it with both the players. My first reaction was just cut across black's plans, and I wanted to play h4 and then just put the knight back on h3 because the g5 square is covered and it's very hard for black to break through. But one can also play e4, and that really is very, very dangerous for black. The problem is if that's taken, then knight takes e6 and queen is threatened by 2 pieces, and then c7 is taken, and that should be very good for white. But, well, Mike was just too tempted by the lure of immediate material grab. So he did this because he thought that after king g2 he was basically just a piece up with the rook coming over to h1. Now, Frank's follow-up here is really good. Very cool indeed. He didn't overdo it at this point. He simply played castles queenside. That's the best follow-up in the position. So he's just preparing to later on bring that rook over to the king side. He's also spotted that after rook h1, which was played, e5. So from this moment on, I think Frank plays a really excellent game. I mean, this is trouble. Now, you can see that with the king on g2, opposite that bishop on b7, white has problems. So, you know, obviously a move like this, opening up the long diagonal, will just be fatal. And if pawn takes pawn, knight takes, followed by d4 check, and that is very nasty indeed. Knight d3 was played. That makes matters worse. In fact, white should take on h6, but this is still very, very difficult for white to defend, actually. But that's the best continuation, allowing the queen in. But I mean, that's very, very scary. But Mike played knight d3, an exchange on h1, and if king takes h1, then simply bishop e7. Very cool. And black's pieces, the rook and the queen, switch over to the h file. Queen takes h1 played, and this is really problematic. E takes d4. You can see that there's a pin on this diagonal. So, well, I mean, white can capture, but now black is a pawn up, and that queen's looking good. I guess white could exchange queens here, but black is a pawn up with the 2 bishops. Very nice position. Queen h4 played. An exchange of queens, but black still has a fantastic attack here. And yeah, at the moment, well, I mean, black is already 1 pawn up, but the point is that this attack continues. d4 check. Great move, hitting the king. And the king stepped up. Now that really is very brave. A check on d6. Beautiful bishops raking across the board. And now, wonderful final attack. This was played with such verve. g5. So that has to be taken. Rook h8, threatening mate in 1 with rook h3. Those bishops do an amazing job. So the bishop step back to f1. Knight c5, so black's last piece comes into play. Obviously, knight e4 check is threatened. Bishop g2, knight e4 anyway. Rook h3 check. So this is a real cascade. And it's forced mate now. But, I mean, the finish was absolutely beautiful. And, yeah, Mike went to the very end, which was very generous of him. Rook h1. And now a very neat move. Forget the rook, we can checkmate. So that just blocks the king's escape. And bishop f3. There we are. The king can't step out. A wonderful checkmating attack from Frank Schroeder. Many congratulations to him, not just on this game, but also on his 60th birthday.